Education is often taken for granted, but for millions of people around the world, it's a mere dream or under threat. This is CNBC Meets. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Tanya Breyer and I've come to the UNESCO headquarters here in Paris to meet a globally recognized advocate for equal and safe education, Her Highness Sheikha Moza bint Nasser. As the wife of the former Emir of Qatar, Her Highness is used to the world stage, and her passion lies in philanthropy. As co-founder and chairperson of the Qatar Foundation and as founder of Education Above All, her work has spearheaded international development projects for decades. In addition to her own initiatives, Her Highness works closely with the United Nations. She's an advocate for the Sustainable Development Goals and serves as a UNESCO Special Envoy for basic and higher education. Her Highness is in Paris attending an event to mark the 2022 International Day to Protect Education from Attack. Her speech is an impassioned plea for the international community to come together.
When a pandemic hit, we knew it was time to act, to work in new, innovative ways. An international crisis catalyzed creativity and transformation. We didn't wait then. So why we are not responding now with solutions to another great crisis, the crisis of attacks on education?
A number of armed conflicts around the world means that attacks on children and educators continue. It's a situation that is frustrating Her Highness.
In my speech 2 years ago, I spoke of my frustration at watching the schools we have built being destroyed, and of my frustration at the lack of action from the international community. Well, my frustration has not diminished. Every child deserves a future. We cannot ignore this any longer. Today's theme is time to act, but it has been time to act for a long, very long time.
For those on the front line of protecting education around the world, Her Highness's dedication to the issue creates a very welcome spotlight.
Her Highness is an independent and important global leader who is speaking out to ensure that the world's children can have the right to education.
Having her here advocating for millions of voices of young girls, of children across the world who cannot access to education due to conflict is something very powerful, because we are not alone. We have her.
I caught up with Her Highness the day after she gave her impassioned speech. Your Highness, thank you so much for joining me on CNBC Meets. We saw you address the UNESCO event yesterday for the International Day to Protect Education from Attack. How important are days like that?
Thank you for having me, first of all. Education, as you know, is a very important element in all our lives. What's interesting yesterday is that we managed to galvanize more interest among people, among NGOs, among governments. Yesterday also we announced the 2601 resolution, and I think that will be a sort of pressure that people will start to think into their policies, their legislations, start to correct them and make sure that education is protected and access to education among all children is free and safe. What is interesting in this resolution that it talked about, or it's talking about the right to education for refugees and for displaced people, and the responsibility of these hosting countries toward these people to educate them and to make sure that their education is continuing.
You actually said that you've been frustrated. You want to see more action.
Yes, I've been frustrated because I've been working on that for more than 2 decades now. In the beginning, people did not see it as a priority. They see it as an impossible task. How can you protect education in conflict time? How can you protect education in war zones? How can you protect education and, during calamities? I can see today there is now a different mindset. I can see that people, yes, they are more enthusiastic. They understand better that losing education, it means losing opportunities, losing future, and also losing the whole community. I'm excited to see yesterday seeing all those people coming just to talk about protecting education. This is a paradigm shift.
And as you said, the UN Security Council adopted a resolution on protection of education in armed conflict. How pleased are you about that? And what more do you feel needs to be done?
I think this is a step towards gathering and collecting some evidence, and also I think it's a step to prevent attacks. It's a step to encourage government and countries to work on their policies and their legislations to protect education. But of course, I want more than that. I never stop at certain achievements. There is always more to do, especially when it comes to accountability and to hold these perpetrators accountable. You need more than that. Although we have the laws, I mean, we've been studying, all these laws like international humanitarian law, the international human rights law, the international criminal law, and all these laws. Attacking education, attacking the right to education, it's a crime. I'm not asking for too much. I'm asking that everyone should act or make a difference according to what he can and his means.
There does seem to be a struggle at the moment within the international community to agree on issues from climate change to response to conflicts. Are you worried that education may not be a priority?
I think that has been always the worry. But today, to see that UN is dedicating all the sessions to protect education, this is a big shift. I think the international community, they understand today that if they want to achieve any climate or to combat climate change and achieve other goals of the SDGs, they need to start with education. I mean, you need to educate people to be prudent, to be wise in terms of dealing with their ecosystem, with their environment, with their health, with the sanitation. So all of these things, they come back to education. You educate an individual, they are really helping to bring up a healthy well-being.
Where do you feel the biggest threats to education are currently?
Conflict rates, the main culprits when it comes to interrupting education. I mean, 2003, when I got involved with UNESCO, I started to receive letters from students, Iraqi students. I remember 2003, that was the invasion of Iraq by US troops and its allies. Students send me letters asking to help them to pursue their education and their learning. I received also letters from teachers to me. They asked to meet with us. We invited them over to Qatar, and all what they ask for is just bulletproof vests to protect them from attacks and from being killed. We also invited these students to come and continue their education in Qatar. When I had the chance, I visited there. They took me to the what is called the green zone. I met with the students. I met with the teachers. Unfortunately, some of these teachers were not there because they were killed. Apparently, the bulletproof vests were not enough. Students explained to me the situation of their education, their universities, classrooms. Universities were looted, the classrooms, labs were destroyed. That was for me a shock. One conflict can really transform a country from being a wealthy country to a country that suffers from ignorance, illiteracy, and this is what I saw, and this is how I understood the scale of the problem. Iraq for me was an eye-opening. From then, I decided to fight to protect education. Unfortunately, people who are not proximately close to such situation, they can't understand the scale and the ramification of such conflicts.
Still ahead, Her Highness on the work of education above all.
We adapt to every situation and we try to understand local needs, local cultures. We should not enforce our understanding.
Welcome back to CNBC Meets. I've travelled to the UNESCO headquarters in Paris to catch up with United Nations advocate for the Sustainable Development Goals, Her Highness Sheikha Moza bint Nasser. Her Highness's work is not only at the UN level. She co-founded the Qatar Foundation, and in 2012, she focused specifically on education by establishing the Education Above All Foundation. It works to provide education for vulnerable and marginalised people and has helped millions of children around the world. Dr. Maliha Malik leads the Foundation's programme to protect education in insecurity and conflict.
When I first met Her Highness and she appointed me to lead this programme, you know, she said something to me that really inspired me to join Education Above All Foundation. She said that the Peace Programme, which is the protection of education from attack, is a very important programme for her because she really believes in justice. She believes in accountability to make sure that we hold perpetrators to account, but also crucially, the people who've been victims of attacks on education are able to speak out and see that we who have power care about them and give them justice. I think justice is at the heart of what her vision is for this particular issue.
Of course, key to making a difference are the people and organisations working on the ground. Rosario Diaz-Garavito is the founder and chief executive director of the Millennials Movement, a youth organisation based in Latin America.
We need young people on the table. We need an intergenerational response to these attacks or these issues that we have, such as the attack on education. And as Latin American, of course, one of my main messages to world leaders and decision makers is that it's in their hands to change the rules, to get to a point where no one is deprived from education due to violence. Even if it's declared or not, violence shouldn't be an impediment for anyone to realize what they want to be and realize their potential to change and transform the communities for this prosperous, peaceful, and sustainable world.
Your Highness, you established the Education Above All Foundation in 2012. Tell me about the mission.
Mainly, we are focusing on reaching out to children, try to provide them and ensure their education. We understand that every environment, every culture has different needs. We are trying to really provide education to those who are the hardest to reach children. For example, we used to work in Pakistan and Bangladesh, and every situation is different than the other. In Bangladesh, they had lots of flood, as you know, and this situation actually make it difficult for them to go to a sort of a normal schools. So they created a sort of boat schools, so kids can continue their education, these boats. This is a project that's being done by a local philanthropist. We joined effort with him and we scaled up the project. So we in a way, we adapt to every situation and we try to understand local needs, local cultures, understanding that we should not enforce our understanding of how education and what kind of methodologies that should be implemented in these countries. This is the main task of Education Above All, to teach and to reach out to the children wherever they are, using local partners and also be considerate to the local cultures.
And how important are these partnerships to the foundation?
They are very important, actually. We cannot work without them. These people, these individuals, these sometimes NGOs, they are our guide to the culture, to the mindsets there, and try really to guide us towards the correct aspects that we should use in terms of how we should implement our programs and how to reach out to the people there. They know better, and we respect that.
How important do you think technology is, and how does that play a role in educating children?
Well, I think technology is very important. I think technology is especially now during the pandemic, I think we understood the importance of technology. People, shifted to online education to continue their education. Technology can help also in terms of reaching out to students and children in rural areas and conflict times, and also it's a tool that children can use to continue their education. But not every child has a laptop or tablets, and we need really to be creative in terms of using these external elements into education.
Her Highness Sheikha Moza is part of a dynasty of change makers. Her husband, His Highness Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, is known as the founder of modern Qatar. As Emir, he oversaw massive social, cultural and economic reforms. He abdicated in 2013, allowing for a new generation to lead the country. Their son, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, is the current Emir of Qatar.
The father Emir had a vision for his people and for Qatar. He wanted Qatar to be a modern, prosperous country. He achieved that. The transition from Sheikh Hamad to Sheikh Tamim, my son, happened in a very smooth way, from father to son. I think Sheikh Tamim went through a lot of challenges. He went through lots of hardship times since he took over, but he faced all of this with prudence and wisdom. People stood behind him. People love him. He's a young, ambitious leader, and I think he learned a lot from the political master, his father. I am, as a mother, also very proud of him, and I think he's going to take Qatar to a different phase, to the future.
The World Cup is coming up soon in Qatar. The world's eyes will be on you. What are you looking forward to mostly?
We're all excited about this event. We've been preparing for it since a long time, more than 11 years. When we announced it in Zurich, we said that this is a World Cup for the whole Arabs. And I think not just Qatar, the whole region. I know our region been through a lot. It's been a sort of hot zone for a long time. So such an event, I think, will bring hope, happiness, and joy.
And your foundation will also have initiatives there during the World Cup.
Yes, true. I mean, the foundation actually, we are working with the legacy that is in charge of the event. To create like a pavilion for the SDGs. So really it's going to be very interesting time to see that sport event can bring people together from different sectors, from different domains, and work together under one umbrella. And it's going to be a wonderful event.
And Your Highness, what would you like the World Cup, in a sense, to achieve? There has been criticism, there's been negativity. So what would you like Qatar to say to the rest of the world?
I think the most important message that we wanted to give to the rest of the world and convey to them that Qatar promised to deliver clean, enjoyable, peaceful event. And we will be achieving that. Even when it comes to weather, some criticism were related to the weather, that Qatar is too hot. So discrimination based on weather, it's something that I cannot understand and comprehend. Nevertheless, we worked on our stadiums, and they are all high-tech stadiums. We offered a temperature that is acceptable for our audience. And actually, 2 of our stadiums, they've been certified as sustainable stadiums. It is something that I would love really people to come and see and join us in such extraordinary event. For our region, it won't happen every day, and we are really honored to host.
Still ahead on CNBC Meets.
As long as we have conflicts around us, as long as we have these calamities happening every day, as long as there are children living in conflict war zones, we need always to reach out to them and to help them any way we can.
May I ask Your Highness where your passion for educational causes has come from?
I think it's in my DNA. I've been brought up by someone who believed in education. He was a self-educated man. He instilled in us the importance of education, and from there I tried really to offer the same quality education to my children. When my children were young, I struggled with their education. I didn't have much choices, either public schools or private schools, and there was not that big difference between the two paths. I created my own school, and then I started reforms in Qatar. All of this, I think, it came from my personal experience as a child and as a mother, and then as a person who cares about the education of children of the world.
Your foundation has helped so many children around the world. You feel like you have a lot more to do.
Yes, I think there is always the room for improvement. There is always something to achieve. And I think if you continue believing in this, you'll continue to achieve. I mean, we in 2012, for example, I promised to educate 10 million children in 5 years. We achieved that in 6 years, not 5 years, but it was okay. At least we achieved that. We have 4 million now in the pipeline. I mean, already secured the commitment. And you have always to set a new goal, for yourself to achieve. It's a mission in my life, and I feel it's a responsibility that I should really take seriously. There's a lot really to address, especially when it comes to education and I mean, children who are really in desperate need to be educated, to have better future. And I think every child really worth to have a better education and to have a better future.
And what is your message to individuals? What can they do?
I think every one of us has a responsibility, and they can do something. I mean, first you start with your children. The children should be educated. And when I say educated means that they need to have values. They have to have certain principles in life. You are bringing up healthy well-being, and individuals who will be productive and will be also a positive citizen. So I think we start as parents, then as teachers, then as community, then as international community. Education doesn't cost much, especially if we are really if you dedicate ourselves, our efforts, our time to perfect it.
Just finally, Your Highness, what would you like your legacy to be?
I'm a person who dedicated her life to serve education and to serve or to secure the rights to education for every child. I would like to be remembered as a person who was serious about this cause, a person who tried through different means, by different ways, to achieve education for all. It was, I think, hard to achieve, especially if you are doing that with lots of challenges around you. So far, I think we managed really to galvanize more interest. People now understand the scale of the problem, and also they understand the ramification and the consequences of such also not being enacted towards protecting education. I think this is the main thing that I would love people to remember me with.
And you still have a lot more work to do.
I still do, yes. I mean, as I said, as long as we are living, we need to continue this path. As long as we have conflicts around us, as long as we have these calamities happening every day, as long as there are children living in emergency time and conflict time and conflict war zones, we need always to reach out to them and to help them in any way we can.
Your Highness, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Sadly, that's all we have time for this episode. I'm Tanya Breyer. Thank you so much for watching.